Thank you again.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to do this a little less formally. The one thing I loved about having young people on is I love for them to ask questions. But I am so glad, Hunter, that you are on because everything that I am talking about literally is what you are doing like right now. So congratulations. It is understanding the areas where you can invest that give you accelerated opportunities for growth. And being curious about those areas, learning more about them, being an early adopter and understanding how powerful it is to be an early adopter. So just a little bit of my background. As Kathy mentioned, I was actually in school and I was at an alumni event on campus. And while I was there, one of the alumni, who was actually Puerto Rican, a Latino, Afro-Latino, and I'm on the dance floor, and I must have said something about being rich, so I'm on the dance floor with him, and he says, "So do you want to be rich or do you want to be wealthy?" And I said, "What's the difference?" And he said, "If you're rich, you'll have money. If you're wealthy, you'll have time." And so that was like a mic drop for me, like, wait, what? And so I spent the next kind of like 8 to 9 months being coached and receiving what I would consider a real paradigm, a complete and total paradigm shift for what's possible, to have financial well-being, to have financial freedom and unbelievable choices and options based upon the kind of decisions that you were making with your money that would lead you to not have to exchange your time for income. And so before that, having even a vision of making choices so I could be financially free, not have to exchange my time for income, and have unbelievable choices and options. It wasn't a framework I was working from. And so what he introduced me to, what it is truly to be wealthy. And he said, you can't hit a target you can't define. And most importantly, you accomplish what you measure. So he said, in order to be in this game of financial freedom and having choices and options, you have to understand what wealth truly is in the system that we're in. And he defined that as net worth. And that's when you take everything you own, you subtract everything you owe, and that bottom line is your net worth. I tell people very often, if you take nothing else away from my conversation, shifting from paying attention to how much revenue you have, how much income you have, and measuring that to paying attention to and measuring your net worth is a game changer. Because the second thing I learned was when resources are flowing in your life, they're flowing out to two places. They're either building your wealth or they're building someone else's wealth. Let me just say that. Or you're purchasing assets that will build your wealth. So I learned some key skills, time-tested ways at managing how resources flow in and out of your life, so you're directing them towards purchasing assets and building wealth. And then the last thing I learned was you don't get wealthy by saving. You get wealthy and have options by investing and having your money work for you. And then I learned some powerful things around having your money work from you, from the low-hanging fruit to understanding the fundamentals of fees and return on investments and benchmarks. And I do seminars on this, to leveraged investing in real estate. And then what I brought to it, which is my special sauce, and that is investing in technology and innovation. So I'm going to share my screen for a moment. And talk a little bit about seizing the moment. And we are in 2024. The world is changing and it's changing fast. How many of you feel it? Like, do you feel it? Like with artificial intelligence,
Big time.
future of work, technology, the world is changing fast. And Hunter, you mentioned the .com. That was actually the beginning of a fourth industrial revolution. I remember prior to .com, I remember prior to the internet and the World Wide Web, how we did things and how that changed everything. And if you invested in the companies that were being primed to take advantage of this at that time, it was built life-changing wealth. And the thing is, it takes very little if you get in the very beginning. And so this is a year, kind of like that year, right? When the .com, when the World Wide Web was coming out, when there was dial-up internet, where you couldn't be on the phone and be on the internet at the same time. That's the time that we are in right now. And though it moves in cycles, those cycles aren't always available. I'm saying to you that we're there now. It's time to learn, get into game, and make some decisions while you're learning. And these are opportunities to build life-changing wealth. All right. So yes. So I am also the founder of Journey to Wealth. I'm an investor. I'm also a financial educator and coach. I work with women, mainly women of color, where I teach them all of the things that I'm talking about, everything from calculating and measuring your net worth over time to having a zero-based wealth building budget, which I call a dream-based budget, where you're directing your resources intentionally towards investing, and then investing. And again, the two areas that I focus on is investing in innovation tech and also investing in real estate. All right, a disclaimer. Trading stocks, crypto, and any other securities involves risk. The risk of loss in trading securities can be substantial. The risks involved with trading stocks and other securities are not suitable for all investors. The information presented in this educational material is not intended to be used as the sole basis of any investment decision, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the investment needs of any particular investor. Nothing in this constitutes legal, accounting, or tax advice or individually tailored investment advice. All right. So I know that there are men here. Most of my work is done with women and specifically women of color. So I always like to give some insight into what is happening in this world around women not playing a bigger game in investing. Move this out the way. Okay. So women make up only 8% of investors. Only 0.05% of women have invested in startups compared to 30% of men, and only 6% of Bitcoin investors are female. And when I show you the numbers of how Bitcoin has done so well in the last 10 years, if you had just put $10 in Bitcoin in what was it, 2009-10, you would have over $9 million, I believe is the number. And why is it that 96% of the people who got in the early years and continue to get in the early years of innovation investing are almost always over 90% men? And so there's a food for thought there, ladies. Why are we not investing in technology and shaping that area? Where it's the highest risk to reward ratio. Women business owners and leaders trail woefully behind their male counterparts when it comes to investing and retirement preparation. Although we have similar cash and debt balances, men have more than double the investment account balances, leading to much higher, just ridiculously higher net worths. And then in looking at women, white women ages 36 to 49, and that's a very special age group because that's when almost every single age group is at their highest net worth. It's around 42,600. It's only 61% of the median wealth of same age white men, by the way. But women of color in the same age group have a median wealth of just $5. And I just want you to read that, just $5. Okay, so in 2019, It's lifting as we climb. This is the study. They did it again. And they found that Latino women, the net worth went to $1,000. Black women went to $1,700. And for white women, it went to $81,000. And so when you look at these statistics, if you could I just want to do a little check-in, a little reflection. If you could type in the chat as you hear these statistics, any reflections?
I just didn't realize it was such a divide. I mean, when you said that, when you showed this, the first time I saw you show this, I was like, what? And just how, like, just even just female versus male, and then just the minorities, but like the huge, huge gap.
Huge, huge, huge. All right. So I'm going to just move on here. I always like to interact a little bit to see what people are taking away from the conversation. So I mentioned we're in the fifth industrial revolution, similar to the time right before the .com and the World Wide Web. And those who pay attention and invest in the companies at that time have life-changing generational wealth building opportunities. So during the next decade, we will experience more upheaval and create more wealth than we have in the past 100 years. For the first time, there will be trillionaires, individual trillionaires walking the earth, and more millionaires than ever before. Now, if you look at those statistics for women and women of color, and specifically for women of color and families of color, all of the statistics are showing that things are getting worse. There's a Road to Zero Wealth study by Prosperity Now, where they're talking about if things don't change, we're on a road to actually have zero wealth. And so understanding these opportunities is to disrupt what they're calling a state of emergency for Black and Latino families when it comes to the area of wealth. So the opposite side of this is we're in a historical moment. We're in the fifth industrial revolution, and paradigms I asked from the very beginning are powerfully shifting. And what you should know about investing in innovation and tech in the beginning is that you can start with a small amount of capital and achieve what we call greatness. The key is learn as much as you can about the changing world and crafting and being intentional about having a generational wealth plan. All right. So when I talk about in the next decade, we will experience more upheaval and create more wealth than we have in the past 100 years. The important thing to do, and there's an urgency. And urgency is important in the beginning of a revolution. And the way to do this is to invest in the leaders, enablers, and beneficiaries of innovation, or to be a leader, enabler, and beneficiary of innovation. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about why buying and holding innovation is a time-tested way to accelerate wealth building. And again, Hunter, we have you here. What you were able to do in such a short time, but with investing in innovation, is a way to accelerate wealth building. So I want to talk about disruptive innovation and what it looks like. And as I'm dating myself a little bit here, because I remember these things. I remember what it was to have a boombox, a gigantic camcorder, a typewriter. My daughters found my college typewriter and they were like, what is it? You thought it was a stone and the chisel. What is this? A VCR? What are all these things? A Walkman. All of these things now fit in our pocket. So that's just to give you an idea of what it means to have disruptive technology. All right. So I'm going to give you an actual example of what it could have looked like to invest. The .com era in one of the new companies that was untested. So if you had invested in, let's say, the early 90s, and you spent nothing but $50 a month for 1 year and didn't put another penny in, I want us to be on the same page here. That's $600 in total for the year. This is in the 90s when I was trying to get people to do this exact thing. Give up coffee. Give up. I personally, at some point, I got so excited about it. I said, I'm not going to buy any clothes. What's the worst that could happen? Because it was untested and it was risky. I said, I won't have any clothes. The best that can happen is this, be one of those industrial revolutions, life-changing, game-changing opportunities. And if you did it closer to the late 90s, so if you did it in the early 90s, it would have been you would have gotten about 72 shares by the end of the year. If you've done it in the maybe late 90s, you would have had about 48 shares. So in 2020, the year 2000, there was a stock split. So for every one share of these stocks, you got two. So your 48 went to 96, your 72 went to 144. In year 2005, they did another 2-for-1. For every one share, you got two shares. So your 96 went to 192, your 144 went to 288. Then in 2014, they did a 7-to-1 stock split. Every share you had, you got 7. So your 192 shares went to 1,344 shares, and your 288 shares went to over 2,000 shares. You guys following me? Okay. Then in 2020, they did another one. It was 4-to-1. So for your 1,344 shares went to 5,376, and your 2,000 shares went to 8,064. Now remember, are we remembering we only ever put $50 a month in? $600 for the year, and then we didn't put another penny in. If you had now owned 5,376 shares, you would have over 935,000. And if you had your 8,064 shares, you would have about 1.5 million because the prices have gone up. So this is what it looks like to invest in innovation early. So I hear people say things like, I don't understand it, and it's fine, but learn about it. And while you're learning about it, understand the possibilities for accelerated growth with very little amounts. And I can show you what Bitcoin did similarly. So this stock happened to be Apple. And for just $50 a month, there was endless possibilities of return on investment. Now, this is not guaranteed. Now, when I was purchasing Apple around this time, they were making fun of it. It was ridiculous, as a matter of fact. I talked about the fact that, Apple, they had a little computer as a box, and it would break all the time. It had a little man in the middle, and I was working at a university, and Steve Jobs, he particularly targeted universities, so the computers were always there, and they never worked. And David Letterman, there's a great, if you look it up, he's laughing like, I don't have a computer on my desk. I certainly don't have one at home. So computers are going to be at your home. It was ridiculous. It sounded ridiculous at the time, just like some people thought cryptocurrency sounded ridiculous. Okay. So in this cryptoverse, very often people either have FOMO or phobia. How many of you have FOMO? How many of you have phobia? How many of you have both?
Both.
So what I'm here to say to you is, don't let it stop you. Educate yourself in the beginning of a revolution when it's about to change the game. Personal computers changed the game. People were making fun of it. The internet, I remember all of the headlines that said the internet is going to be dead, that is going to go away, all kinds of things. But pay attention to what's actually happening. So I can tell you that in the beginning with Apple, I remember reading Investors Business Daily, Money Magazine Monthly. I think it was Barron's Weekly, and just listening to what Bill Gates and Steve Jobs were saying. And it was brilliant, and they were preparing for the future. So if you do some research around crypto and you listen to what people are saying. I have a great video. Her name is Crypto Casey. She's a young woman. I'm going to post it. She does such a great job of describing what cryptocurrency is, what the blockchain is, and why cryptocurrency is so revolutionary, and why it was an answer to it came about in the 2009-10 as an answer to the complete corruption of our current financial system that led to the 2008 financial crisis. Okay, so where do things stand now with crypto? Let me move this out the way. Okay. Disruptive technology, we talked about that. The blockchain and digital currency and cryptocurrency is disrupting the future of currency and the future of money. Is happening right now. All of the headlines, I wish you can grab some, that said Bitcoin is now Wall Street's favorite. JP Morgan has its own digital token. Crypto sits on a blockchain that does 1 billion in daily transaction. JP Morgan Chase became the first US bank to introduce its own digital token in 2019. And it was created to allow for instantaneous transfer payments between institutional accounts. So the big guys, they get to use these tokens to do transfer payments. And then earlier this year, they said they were committed to tokenizing. That's when you take an asset and you turn it into a token, which is crypto, for real world use, saying that blockchain-based cryptocurrency was created to allow for the instantaneous transfer. This is for payments between accounts. So close to 700 billion short-term loan transactions currently go through Onyx. This is a permission version of the Ethereum blockchain. If you guys are familiar with the Ethereum, it's the number 2 crypto right under Bitcoin. They actually built this as a permission version of the Ethereum blockchain. And I'm giving this information for you to understand that, I've been talking about investing in Bitcoin since 2017 when it was about $800 a share. As of today, it has surpassed $50 a share. Bloomberg said it could go to 300K by next year. Many outlets are talking about it going to 100K by the end of the year. And that at some point in history, Bitcoin itself will be worth $1 million, a Bitcoin. And just like some of the things, like Apple, $1 trillion company, when it was a joke, people wouldn't believe it. Now it is a $1 trillion company moving the whole market. So this is to give you an idea of where Bitcoin actually stands right now. And what else is happening? Are you guys aware of the fact that you can now buy Bitcoin as an exchange traded fund in any investment account in your retirement accounts? Just happened. I don't even know if it's been a full month ago. And so BlackRock and 11 other top financial institutions had put forward a BTC ETF, exchange traded fund, which is like a mutual fund. It was approved in about the last month, and it's completely changed the game now. Completely changed the game. Now you can own Bitcoin. So what did this do? Why is this so important? This is legitimize Bitcoin as an asset class, but it's far beyond that because it is the future of currency. Crypto is the future of currency. So accessibility, the ETF makes it easy for any investor, regular investor, to buy Bitcoin without dealing with all of the current technicalities. It becomes like a stock that you can buy and sell alongside any other investments. It has mainstream acceptance. The global impact, when it's approved, other countries now very often move in the same direction. All the big institutions like banks can put their money into Bitcoin. And then the educational and awareness. What's going to happen? It's already happened, and now on the news, the whole attitude is changing towards Bitcoin. We're in a, if we can understand, we're in a moment of history. Now, when these times happen, sometimes we're just looking at them on the news, but we're not understanding what that really means for our lives, for us to pay attention and invest in these areas. All right. Let me see if I have time to share this little video. This is a tall guy tycoon. He's also Latino. I believe he's Puerto Rican, as a matter of fact. He is brilliant. He's an influencer in this area. Follow him on Instagram. But this is just an example of, so I'm going to take a moment just to get a check-in with everybody about what you know, understand, and what are your thoughts about cryptocurrency? And where are you getting that information from? We can go off mute.
For me personally, the most I've heard about crypto is from Hunter. It's definitely not something that I talk about a lot. I've seen like stuff on social media, um, mostly like um older people that seem to not be open-minded, kind of not trusting it and stuff like that. And I haven't really formed my own opinion on it. So that's why when you shared the slide talking how, like, I have a Roth IRA, right? And it seems like with that slide that you showed, it's going down the line of where people are going to start having, like, being able to invest in it in that sort of like very easy way. And I just think that's super interesting. And you shared those 11 top financial companies, they're following that route. So I think that really says a lot about crypto and about where it's going. And also like the opportunity that it has for people like us to invest in it, you know, versus traditional Roth IRAs and 401ks and things like that.
No, okay. Thank you for that, Matt. All right. Anyone else want to weigh in?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Um, um, just I want to get people's thoughts about, well, you're already
Okay.
How are you
Okay,
learning
you know
about
what?
it? Well, even for you, how did you educate yourself? Saying, how are you learning about it? Who do you hear about this from? Like, what was the original question along that route?
Well, I mean, I heard about it first in 2020 when it went absolutely crazy. And I just happened to get lucky that I heard about it in like March of 2020. So I got in relatively early. Like November of 2020 is when I started like buying intensely. And then as we saw for the next year, it just went straight up. But and then whenever it crashed, I was started learning more about how Bitcoin and, well, crypto in general runs in cycles, and the bull market, the bear market, and how every 4 years the mining rate cuts in half. So I really spent like the last 4 years just learning and learning and learning. And I mean, if you look just date back in history, 2013 it goes up, goes down. 2017 it goes up. Like history repeats itself. I was like, okay, so like 2024, 2025, it should do the same thing. And yeah, so I just spent the last 4 years just diving in. Nowadays, I get most of my information from Twitter, believe it or not.
No.
Twitter, that's
Huge.
where all the knowledge is at. So
Uh-huh. It's Twitter and YouTube. So you mentioned two very important things, that the market moves in cycles, all of them, the stock market, all of them. And so we're in what you call a super cycle right now for all technology because of AI and quantum computing and crypto. And this particular super cycle, we have all of these exchange traded funds, 11 top companies, plus we have the Bitcoin halving that Hunter, you just mentioned. Every 4 years, the amount of Bitcoin that can be mined decreases by half. There's only 21 million, I believe, and maybe 1 million that could ever be made. And like, I think 19, 20 million are already have been mined. And so it's a scarcity to it. And every 4 years, I was in 2022. When you were buying it back then, I forgot. It was like people were buying it. I was teaching it at the time. I had a captive audience during COVID, and people were buying it anywhere from 5,000 to 9,000. And what, it shot up to 60K. Yeah, there were a lot of very happy people in the 2020 in those days who were investing with me in crypto. So this is a halving year, plus all of the other stuff that's happening. So it's considered like a super cycle. This is a year to pay attention. This is a year to invest. There may not be another year like this in our lifetime in terms of getting into some of these cryptocurrencies early. So Megan, I want to hear from you.
Honestly, I don't really know too much about it at all, other than what I've heard from Hunter. And then we had another guy in the business who was pretty into that. And so I had tried to pick his brain a little bit, but a lot of times it just seems to go over my head with like crypto and all of that. So I don't really know too much about it at all, other than what I hear from a couple of friends.
And Alicia, I have a question based on what Megan just said, because I feel similarly for me, like I've always heard and I've always felt deeply like invest in what you know. Or it's like if you don't know about it, why are you putting money into it? Like there's some people that say that a lot, right? Like study it, know your lane, like Hunter's taken time to like learn and dive in and have more understanding. Where, for me, I had it. And so I know my brother had a ton and dove in, and another friend of mine, and finally, after just like, they're like, you need to buy crypto, you need to buy it. I finally did. Wrong time. I bought in December of 2021. So,
It's okay. You're gonna be happy.
but whatever, we own stuff.
Mhm.
And but for me, the reason I didn't invest in it for so long is like, I don't understand this world. So I'm gonna invest in the worlds I know, and in like companies, and start and being able to look at things and projections in other spaces. And so this has, so I guess let me get to where I'm going here. My question is, for people like Megan, like a lot of people, like they don't understand it. Like it still doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I know I need to invest in it. And where's the line between like ignorance and investing in something you don't understand, or jumping into something you know is going to be good, even if you don't understand it now, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. So I just want to play around with this a little bit because I work mostly with women. And so for the thing that I would say is to be very curious. One of the things about technology in its early, nobody knows, is innovation. You're not supposed to know everything about it. What you're supposed to do, though, in innovation areas is to understand the potential of it, what problems it's potentially solving, why are those problems important, and it is to innovate and move us into the future. And so understanding, and I like on a personal perspective, I believe that, okay, let me just say it, the dudes are preparing for the future, shaping our world for the future, and we're stepping back and not playing in that game. The whole future is being designed by innovation technology. And there's a lot of social conditioning for us as women around being good at math and being technology and not being in the area that we just not playing in the biggest game of our lifetime. And I personally believe if we don't, we're not going to be any of the changes we want to see in the world if as women, we don't play a bigger game in shaping the future. So it's very common. Not knowing is not a reason not to get involved in anything. If you don't know something, what you do, you just learn about it. But we stay very often stuck in the conversation. I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And there's a different conversation that I just want to put out there, and that is, I'm really curious about this area because the potential is so high. Where else can you put $10 in something and walk away with 9 million? And why was it only men doing it? What does it cost you to put $10 in something while you're learning about it? So to be in a conversation about, I'm going to be curious about it, is really, really, really important. And I want to play a bigger game in the shaping of the future and of the world.
Alicia, I know you have your crypto, you're doing the webinar, the 3-hour class that you're doing. And I was going to share that with our ladies. Is that open to guys too, or is that just for women, the event that you're running online?
No, that actually, it's my first ever event.
Co-ed?
Where I'm opening it to men and women. And it is an intro course. And that's the other thing. So in that course, it's 3 hours. I'm explaining to you what a little bit about the evolution and what it is, what you need to know. And I spend like an hour to an hour and a half hands-on how you get started. So again, like low hanging fruit around investing in general is the dollar cost average.
Mhm.
Every market moves. If you see my finger, let's say this is a chart, it doesn't go straight up. It goes up, pulls back, go to where it was before, goes up, pulls back, go to where it was before, and pulls up. That's how markets work. If they stop working like that, then we got bigger problems. And so investing dollar cost averaging a small amount over time, you purchase, the market is down more than it's up. So you purchase more when it's down, and it's always going in an upward trajectory. So having that kind of specialized knowledge and information about investing in markets, the way to look at investing in crypto is it's way down more than it's up. But when it goes up, the possibilities for having a much higher return on investment, I see Hunter shaking his head, is higher. So the smart way to invest in crypto or anything when you're learning about it is to dollar cost average it and just purchase small amounts over time. So I had people doing this all the time, like whether it's stock or crypto, since 2017 in Bitcoin when it was $800, even if it's nothing but $25. And those portfolios are outrageous now. And so I'm going to teach how to, hands-on, if you can walk away with dollar cost averaging at minimum, show you how to do those kinds of things hands-on. It's important enough that if you don't know about it, I have incredible resources to learn about it because it's the future of money and everything is changing. So
Yeah, I would recommend it for everybody except Hunter. Hunter's got a good foundation and all that. But I think the rest of us are always like, Hunter. But this will, be a good deep dive to just having more understanding what it is, how it works, which I can't be there live, but I'm signing up for it just so I can listen to the recording later. So I know some of you guys work on Saturdays and have events. They work a lot of trade shows in our industry.
Okay.
So a lot of the trade shows are on the weekend. And so it's early in the morning. But I think it's 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Central is when, she's running that. What date is that again?
It is on March 2nd.
Okay, yeah.
So
We're-
yeah. So yeah, absolutely. And if enough people from your group sign up, I do the last hour we just hands-on. I could do a mini working session to kind of support you guys with some hands-on.
Most of our company trip, that's where I'm not going to be. And actually I just thought about most of us are all going to be in Europe for our company trip that week. But I want to see, we can chat later, but I want to see if and when you're going to have another one, or if I just pay and get the recording, whoever wants it, so we can dig into that. That's great.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be important to actually do the work though, hands-on, but you guys have Hunter. So if you have any,
I know I messaged you like 15 minutes ago about this.
I haven't seen it. I'm locked in.
I was like, when can you do a masterclass on how to's?
Okay. And I'm sorry, ladies. I know sometimes I'm with the ladies. I'm like, we have to get in the game, ladies. We cannot afford to be on the sidelines. We cannot do it.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think it's ladies and minorities. I mean, we have a lot of our guys that just have never, again, our families are like, that's silly, or like, you can't even touch it, you don't know what it is, like just old programming that I know is deeply programmed into my brain, which I've been able to separate some things, but there's still programming where it's like, and no one that I know will say different, right? And so
Right.
you're at, but yeah, I'll give it back to you. Sorry, we interrupted for a long time.
Okay, no, it's good stuff. No, I'm glad. I love the question, the question and answers. I have found though that guys are more open to trying something when it comes to investing. Even when in general, they said that for men to feel comfortable with saying they know something, they have to know 60% of it. For women to feel comfortable with saying we know something, we got to know 90% of it. And so this is an area that it's in the 50-60% at all times because it's ever changing and evolving. And it's, a part of it is getting used to the spaces like that. well, you know, like this space, like 6 months from now, things change so rapidly. How you do something, where you click, what you do, it just is ever evolving and innovative in the very beginning. Okay, I'm just saying, be careful about navigating the media, because they will be saying stuff on the front end and doing stuff on the back end. Because Jamie Dimon, there's a great interview when he's saying, I've been deeply opposed to crypto, and crypto is horrible. And then on the back end, they're gobbling up and buying all the Bitcoin, and they're creating their own crypto. And, you know, so just be careful what is in front of you in the media.
And Alicia, that's a big thing where my fear comes from. So how, like, where these are like a trusted source, right? In Forbes magazine, or we're saying like, let's go learn, but then we're hearing something like, oh, they're saying that, let me not do that. How do you digest, like, what do you know is true and what isn't? Like, are you looking at multiple different sources? Because like, this is where I get, I'm like, there's so much shit that's like opposing, like on credible sites. And so, you know.
I always say go to original sources and see what people are actually doing behind the scenes. And what I do is I like to look at opposing voices too. So like Michael Saylor, I think that's his name, who's been a huge proponent of Bitcoin, and he's a big guy. And he's like, don't listen to what these guys are saying. They're buying it like crazy. We're all buying it. But just look at multiple sources. It makes me want to play that video by the tall guy tycoon. But this, just to give you an example, in the last 10 years, the S&P 500 is the stock market, how much it's gone up versus how much Bitcoin has gone up, return on investment. And so this will give you an idea. If you put $1 in Bitcoin, you'd have, in the last 10 years, you'd have 228,000 versus the S&P 500, you'd have $221 in terms of a return on investment. It's a good way to look at it. And let me just play, since we got a moment, I love this video by Tall Guy, and I would follow him. Truly, you get really great information. I'm YouTube. I watch as much YouTube, and I go to Twitter more when I'm about to pull a trigger on something, Hunter. But mostly I'm in.
Bitcoin
Can you
right
guys
now.
hear this?
They said Bitcoin was done. It was over. It's never
Can you hear it? Okay, good.
coming back when it was at 15,000. It's already at 32 right now. And it's on its way back to 50, on its way to 300,000 in 2024. A lot of people are going to be shocked when they see those headlines of Bitcoin at 300,000. I thought it was over. I thought it was a scam. No, you've been had, took, and bamboozled. They tricked you to make you sell everything you had so that they can benefit from the technology that you threw away. And then they'll tell you, yeah, man, it's a good idea now, because they have it. Fidelity, JP Morgan, all these banks are not buying up Bitcoin, not creating infrastructure, and not producing some of the best Bitcoin products and crypto products for no reason. They're doing this to control and manipulate and dominate the sector. And they need time to do that. So they get you off the trail, tell you it's a scam, tell you it's a trick, put your favorite celebrity or CEO in your face telling you it's a trick. And then you get off the trail and you forget about it for a year. And they buy it all up. And that's the reason why the rich get richer. The poor get poorer, because we let them trick us with their media. So they have to get you off the track.
So this is Armando. He's amazing. When I tell you, I highly recommend following. He's called the Tall Guy Tycoon. His information. I know he's just talking about this here. He does a weekly on Sundays. He has, last year, when nobody was looking at NVIDIA, he had people do, he does options. It's a higher level of investing in the stock market plays on NVIDIA, that had people who put a couple of $1,000s in walk away with hundreds of thousands, even 7 figures off of some plays that he suggested. He, so he picks lots and lots of winners. A great person, a great resource to watch. Also, Crypto Casey, I think she does the best job if you just kind of watch her videos when she has a video. Kathy, if you could remind me to share it with you. I don't have it right now. But she does a great job of explaining crypto. So I am
That's
so
always
happy.
been my concern, even with YouTube. It's like, I want to learn this stuff. Where should I go? People are like, YouTube. I'm like, there's so much shit. I don't know what's right and what's not. Like, who are the trusted people to actually listen to? Because I love learning, but I'm like, I've been so effing confused hearing this on there and here on there. And I'm like, forget it. Right. And it's like analysis paralysis. I can't figure out which one's the real one. So then I don't do shit. Right. Or then I'm like, all right, fine. And I'll do a lot at one time, which now I'm like going to spread it out. but that's like, that's, it's like anyone can upload on, any social media. Like it isn't, I don't know. I feel like when you did research before, it was a little bit more trusted, a little bit more vetted. Now everyone has access to uploading. And that's been a big thing of mine. And anything, it's like, I love to learn. I want credible sources, but how do I know which ones are the most credible and not? And it's just asking friends, who do you feel, or do you know this person? Or, like, so thank you for sharing, these two names, but like, that's my brother showing me all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah. And then I also saw this and I'm sending him opposing things. Right. And I'm like,
Right,
how do
right.
you know which one to trust? Right. Like, do you know them? Like, do they know that they've made all this or not? So
Yeah. No. There's some great trusted sources, but I also it's good to go to the original sources, like for Solana and Phantom. Like they have Discords. I don't know if you guys are on Discord. How often do you go to the Discords, Hunter?
I mean, if it's a new project, after I read the white papers and stuff, if I like it, then I go more into it. But I don't do too much Discord for like for like each specific coin. I'll do it more for like communities for
Right.
it. A lot of NFTs, obviously, that's where Discords are very prevalent. But yeah, not too much for crypto, like specific coins.
So I have my YouTubers. I have Tall Guy Tycoon, Altcoin Daily, Ivan on Tech. There are a few people that I've vetted and trusted over time. And then again, Twitter, it's just like full of like they'll talk about something or it'll get tweeted and then you go down a rabbit hole of other people that you could follow. And then when I'm really interested in a project, particularly new projects, then I'll join their Discord. And for airdrop farming, definitely for those new projects, joining their Discord and things like that. But low hanging fruit, Tall Guy Tycoon is amazing. Altcoin Daily, been following them for a while. Just give great suggestions after great suggestions. They have great speakers on their platform who I've then began to follow, like Crypto Banter. But yeah, it's worth the time because of the way the world is changing, the way things are going. It's definitely worth the time to learn more. And then you can take my crypto courses. I do them hands-on. I create communities of women investing together. In 2020, I created a group where we met every week and we read a book called The Future is Faster Than You Think and learned about the whole world of innovation. I highly recommend it. I had over 120 women every single week, reading a chapter. After a while, like, I'm not doing all the work. You guys have to do presentations. They started doing presentations. It turned into a thing for like 8, 9 months. And many of them have changed careers, are investing powerfully. And so the return on investment for educating yourself in this area is huge. But The Future is Fascinating. I think it's a great book. All right. Well, it was so great being with you today. Again, let me share the link. You have the link for my crypto camp.
I do. So I can share it into our group for sure. If you have it handy, you can put it here, but if not, I'll put it into our group chat. So everybody has it, because I know there'll be others watching this. So once we hang up, I'll upload this to YouTube and share it with them. So when they have a chance later, they can watch. But thank you so much. I know that you were able to do this for my, women's community and our retreat, and they were like, everybody's like going, wanting to learn more. And it's something that I'm really passionate about, being able to bring this just stuff that I didn't have 2 decades ago and wish I would have had, and being able to bring that to our future generations, so that we're setting ourselves up right. And, my biggest thing now is learning for my kids, and setting them up with the knowledge and tools and accounts so that they can do a lot of things that I couldn't do. So, and I think that I know LA is on that path too with his son and any future ones, but thank you so much. 'Cause this is great stuff, and I'm excited to keep learning and growing with you. And thank you guys for coming live.
And back at you, because what you do, I need to learn to grow with too.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank
Take
you
care.
guys for
Great to
being on
meet you.
live.
Nice meeting you too.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah.